On today's show, we're talking DIY versus diamond distribution. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 5 of AskComixTribe, the question and answer show about the craft and business of making and selling comics. I am your host, Tyler James, and this weekend I've been doing something I haven't done in a long time. I've been working on layouts for a short in the upcoming Oxymoron 2 anthology. You know, this past year has been pretty much entirely focused on publishing, writing, marketing, Kickstarter campaigns, retailer outreach, distribution, but one thing I haven't done a lot is actually draw and create comics and do sequential work myself. I'm working with a lot of super talented artists, but this pencil right here has been a little rusty. But I'm going to take a little break from that and answer this question.
Should I distribute my books through Diamond or try to get them in comic shops myself?
All right, so this is a great question, and one that I think ComixTribe and myself are in a good position to answer because we've done both a very targeted and successful micro-distribution or DIY campaign to get our books into retailers. And then we've also worked with Diamond for about 2.5 years now that we've been distributing and working with Diamond to get our books out to retailers. So we've sort of seen the pros and cons, the advantages and the strengths and weaknesses of each approach. And so I'm going to do a deep dive on that.
So the first thing to understand is that DIY distribution versus diamond distribution is going to be a much more narrowly targeted effort. A lot of times DIY campaigns are regional. They'll be limited to the shops in your area or in a certain geographic region, or limited to just certain shops that are known for stocking and supporting independent titles. Whereas with diamond distribution, you're really targeting the entire comic buying market through the previews catalog. Related to that is the size of the pool of retailers or possible customers that you're talking about dealing with. Now, if you think about it, about 100% of shops stock Batman, but outside of the big two, maybe only 50% of shops stock Image comics other than The Walking Dead. Anecdotally, I've heard that some 200 comic shops account for 80 to 90% of all of the big two comics ordered and purchased in the United States. So of those subset of a subset of shops that actually stock indie books, the number of shops that are willing to stock books that are distributed outside of Diamond is even smaller. So you're really dealing with a very, very tiny pool of shops with DIY distribution, whereas with Diamond distribution, you are at least soliciting the entire market. However, it's worth noting and an important thing to acknowledge is that even through Diamond, most of the shops that are ordering comics probably aren't going to order your comic unless they get specific requests to stock that book. With DIY distribution, you're making direct contact with retailers, whereas with Diamond distribution, your contact is with your Diamond sales rep. That's the person that you solicit your cover and your book to, and then it's his job to put it in previews catalog. So one of the questions you want to ask yourself if you're thinking about doing a DIY distribution campaign is, are you a good salesperson or not? Because it really is sales on a direct you to the retailer level that's going to get the book into shops, and that's definitely different than how it works with Diamond. You through Diamond may have no contact whatsoever with retailers. Related to that is that on the Diamond end, there's really low transparency in terms of what knowledge you're going to get out of distributing. At the end of the Diamond solicitation cycle, you'll get a purchase order for the total number of books that Diamond is going to stock and distribute for you. However, they don't tell you how many comic shops that accounts for and which shops are buying the most books. They don't give you any contact information for those shops. They're definitely a middleman. Whereas with DIY distribution, chances are you're the one that's calling and emailing these retailers directly and and may also be the person shipping books and packing and shipping books directly to those retailers. So there's a sort of a high transparency of who is stocking your books. And then you also have the ability to go back and contact them and see how those books are doing in their shops. Another key distinction is in terms of the flexibility versus the rigidity of the two systems. With Diamond distribution, that's a very rigid system. It's been in place for years, and you being a newcomer to it and a small piece in their overall financial picture, they're going to be the ones that are dictating the terms and the systems and the rules and the solicitation process and all of that to you. Whereas with DIY distribution, you're more flexible because you're really dealing with a smaller number of retailers, and you're dealing directly with retailers. If you want to set the terms with these retailers of 50% off, or you're selling on consignment, or if you wanted to do a special limited run store branded covers, all sorts of different things that you could potentially do with a direct contact with retailers that would be more difficult for a small publisher through Diamond. Likewise, the DIY distribution cycle, because you're just dealing directly with retailers, it's going to be a lot shorter than the Diamond distribution cycle. Diamond really works on a 6-month cycle that is one that sees you solicit a book with the cover. You send in your cover and your solicit information. 2 months later, that book will show up in previews. A month later, you'll get your purchase order from Diamond, and that's when you'll have the books printed by your printer. And then 1 to 2 months after that, the book will show up on sales, and then on the shelf for sales. And then maybe by month 6 is when your check for those books will arrive. So it's a much more extended sales cycle, and so you really have to be thinking in on a different scale of half a year out to be planning a book's release, as opposed to being able to act fairly quickly and with working with individual retailers. One of the biggest selling points of a DIY campaign is exclusivity. There are a lot of shops out there that want to have what other shops don't have. It provides a unique shopping experience for their customers. One of the trade-offs of that is with Diamond distribution, you get a sense of legitimacy, right? Diamond, by carrying your book, is making a statement that they think they can make money on it and that retailers will buy it. Diamond doesn't accept every book that is solicited to them, and if they don't think retailers are going to purchase your book, they won't carry it because they don't think it'll make their Diamond minimums. The fact that your book comes out on Wednesday like every other book and was solicited in previews like all the other comics out there, that it can be included in the monthly sales charts and really get counted that way, and that websites and retailers will take your book more seriously if it's distributed through Diamond is, I think, a real concern and a real truth and something to consider when you're considering which way to distribute your books. And the last point I want to make is the ability to scale. It's very difficult to scale the DIY distribution model. We were able to successfully get our books into 25 shops and then 50 shops, but man, 50 shops is a lot harder to deal with than 25. Most shops, mo problems is sort of how I felt it, because you're dealing with things like printing and packaging and shipping and damages and reorders, and those are all issues that the more shops you're servicing, the more time you're going to be spent on those things. Whereas when you're dealing with Diamond, the more shops you're servicing through Diamond, the more money you're going to make. The deal with Diamond doesn't change if I sell 1,500 copies versus 15,000. They're set up to do much higher numbers than those. The only thing that changes with Diamond when you're selling more books is the size of the check. But if you are distributing themselves and working with more retailers, there's sort of a limit to how much you can do that. And so DIY distribution, works really well for one-time deals or one-time books or on a smaller level. But as an ongoing service, month in, month out, it can be a really difficult thing to do, and something that could easily suck up all your time and take you away from the creative and really just be in the sales and surfacing and distributing business, and that's might not be something that's right for you. So as you grow, Diamond looks better and better. ComixTribe's approach was to use our DIY distribution success with books like The Red 10 and Scam to prove our viability to Diamond. We sort of treated them as a market test and we used them to get retailers on board and to show that there was a market for these books, especially once some of those sold very well at certain shops. And to this day, the contacts that we made through those early DIY distribution efforts are still crucial to our success for books that we're distributing primarily through Diamond. I think we might not have had that had we not done our DIY work first before upgrading to Diamond.
All right, so that's how we see the distribution debate between DIY and Diamond. I think there's a case to be made for both. And depending upon where you are in your career and what your goals are for an individual title or series, one campaign might make more sense as opposed to the other. So I hope that helps you there. Talkback question of the day. What's your local comic shop, and do they stock a good selection of independent comic books? Leave your responses in the comments thread, and let's hear about the shops out there. Are they doing a good job at stocking indie books? All right, that's it for Ask Comics Tribe episode 5. It's in the books. Leave your comments in the comment thread. Subscribe to the series, and please use hashtag AskComixTribe to get your question on the show, or email us at ask@comixtribe.com. Thanks again for watching.